Thank you very much, Jim. So I currently serve as chair for the U.S. National Member Society for ISPO, and as an organization, a professional organization that's obviously very involved in international activities, there's been a lot of response from a number of different organizations, and as chair of U.S. ISPO, I've tried to see if I could at least stay attuned to what's all happening, and then see if we can work together in as many ways as possible. This is a huge tragedy, and what we've done is identified at least the 4 projects that we know are going on in Haiti or have intentions to go on in Haiti. I know there are others, and we by no means have this set to be exclusive to say these are the only projects. These are the ones that we're the most familiar with now. We have all basically put together a PowerPoint presentation, and those were merged together. Rather than have individuals from each program come up, they've given me the opportunity to just provide an overview of these different projects that are out there, as well as the needs that have been identified from Haiti, from the government, as well as Handicapped International. So I'm going to just go over this presentation, 15 minutes, very quickly, just to give you an introduction to the projects that are there, as well as the needs that have been identified. And then we want to open it up to a discussion so that everyone has a chance to find out what's going on, what they can do to help, where you can go, and we'll go from there. The title of the talk is Creating a Unified North American O&P Response to the Haitian Tragedy, and I want to emphasize that this is a North American response. North America has not, in the same way as other countries, responded to natural disasters such as earthquakes or other challenges that have created a demand for prosthetics and orthotics the way that countries, Switzerland, Italy, France, Belgium, Germany, a lot of the other European countries have a much better infrastructure in place to respond to tragedies that require prosthetic and orthotic services. And what needs to be understood is, even though the Americans are coming, are going to Haiti, the reality is there are lots of organizations that already are there, that have been there for many years, even before the earthquake, providing ongoing care. We're going to try and help provide services, and it's really that much more critical that the services that are being provided from North America are coordinated, and that's why we've brought everyone together. I would also like to again thank the Academy for giving us this space and the opportunity to present what's always a very busy slot at the Academy meeting. So Haiti is a nation of very, very beautiful people, and they have very special abilities. They've struggled through being in the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, and as you know, there was a very significant tragedy that struck on January 12th, a 7.0 earthquake that in many estimates I've heard basically knocked down 20% of the buildings that were in Port-au-Prince and damaged 80% of the buildings. So you're talking about an extraordinary assault on infrastructure, leaving upwards of over 1 million people homeless. And how do you manage something like that in a country that already has huge infrastructure problems? Haiti is half of the island of Hispaniola. The Dominican Republic shares the island. It is without question the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. The annual income for a family of 4 would be $290 annual income, and there's about 9 million people that are on that side of the island. Prior to the earthquake, they were looking at 75% unemployment. Over half the population survives on less than $1 a day, and over 3/4 of the population survive on less than $2 a day. This is a comparison from the World Development Indicators database accessed at the end of last year, comparing Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and the U.S. Basically looking at the population of, if you compare Haiti to the Dominican Republic, there's the Human Development Index, which is the rank, the per capita income, which is calculated a little bit differently than the previous statistic. Life expectancy at birth is 61 years old in Haiti. The mortality rate per 1,000 births is 76, compared to 38 in the DR or 8 in the United States. These are just some very basic indicators of the overall state of a country's health, but what also then speaks to not only economically do they have challenges, but also their healthcare system and just the living standards. The 4 North American projects that I'm going to provide a brief overview today, in the order that they're listed up here, is the first is Healing Hands for Haiti that Jim introduced, Al Ingersoll. The Advantage program. These are 2 programs that actually were operating in Haiti prior to the earthquake, and then of course now are looking to continue operating and expanding their services since the earthquake. There are 2 projects that we've identified. One is the Haitian Amputee Coalition with Hanger and a number of other groups. This was established through the Ivan R. Sable Foundation, and then there's another one that's just being referred to as the Miami Project. Healing Hands for Haiti has been in Haiti since 2000. The facility that they have has a staff of 40 plus people for prosthetics and orthotics, as well as general rehab. So they take care of patients that have a broad range of needs. They have six staff that are prosthetists, orthotists that serve in that role as technicians. The particulars right now, they have been trained on ICRC componentry. The staff scheduled for March 13th. They have trips that are scheduled for March 13th and the 20th, although this is updated because Al's going to be going next week with his newfound situation. The facility was, for the most part, destroyed, although a lot of the equipment and the materials and the supplies were able to be salvaged, and so they have taken that equipment and moved it to another facility and are in the process of getting that facility online, which will be happening in the next week or two. The Advantage program has been in Haiti since about the same time, around 1998. They also are now moving into utilizing the ICRC polypropylene technology for both their prosthetic and orthotic services. It's called the Advantage program. This is a rural clinic that's located about 7-hour drive from Port-au-Prince. And so while there is a huge need within the city of Port-au-Prince, as you probably are aware if you've been following the news, a lot of the people in Port-au-Prince have migrated out to the rural areas because there's no food, there's no shelter, there's no clothing, so they probably have a better chance of physically survival getting out of the main population if they have a place to go. So we're now looking at two programs that are in place and have been in place in Haiti, that one is working within the major population of Port-au-Prince and the other one has been working within the rural population and trying to figure out how we can duplicate these services. Triplical, quadruple. This is the Centre de Saint Luminaire, the one that's with the Advantage program with the rehabilitation clinic and the P&O shop. And here's a few photos of U.S. prosthetists. You might recognize Mr. Bruskowski, hard at work. Hanger has partnered with the hospital Albert Schweitzer, which has actually been in Haiti for about 50 years. The hospital itself is located north of Haiti by I think about 40 to 60 miles. They had a Hanger and the Haitian Amputee Coalition had a very rapid response to the earthquake. They had an initial visit assessment, which took place January 28th through 29th. Of course, one of the first things that's recognized as being needed for individuals with amputations is education, so that you can address the potential, the complications that are preventable, your contractures, adherent scars, things of that nature. Very rapidly did they develop training materials, brochures that were photo-based and or translated in Creole so that the individuals hopefully could not sustain complications that are otherwise preventable that make fitting very challenging. My understanding is that as of February 21, which is just a couple days ago, their clinic is actually on the ground. There are people that are actually providing services there at this time. They have established, as on February 12th, a great deal of equipment. Their floor plan is established, and they are now working at the hospital, Albert Schweitzer in Haiti, currently. The Project MediShare is the one that is based out of Miami. It's a collaboration with MediShare, which is a group that has a hospital actually in Port-au-Prince. They're working with the Biosculpt organization, Alan Finiston, I just saw here a second ago, Alan Finiston, as well as with Bob Gailey from the University of Miami, and they're looking at applying the Endolite Atlas system to trying to provide services. And these are really the four groups that we know now are at least on the ground and moving forward with providing services in Haiti. The needs have been fairly well delineated between three different phases. You have the immediate phase of the response, the intermediate response, and then the long-term needs. The immediate needs, of course, are looking at compound fractures and infections and amputations and revisions that are going to be necessary secondary to the infections, all of the things that are going to tend to happen in a catastrophe like this. There's a poor wound healing environment because once folks are stabilized and they get out of surgery, they're discharged, but they don't have any place to go. They don't have any place to live, and so hygiene and clothes, and there's really a very difficult process for them to move forward with their rehabilitation when they're really, again, just trying to find a place to sleep, food, clothing, and shelter. It's also understood that a lot of people are very apprehensive to go back into buildings for fear and recognition of aftershocks that may occur. And then lastly, there is an enormous stigma with amputation for people in Haiti. partly attributable to the lack of prosthetic services that are there, because if once you have an amputation, you're not able to compete with the able-bodied folks. So having an amputation has many very challenging stigmas associated with it in everywhere, but most especially in Haiti. So the response to the immediate needs have been to look at wound care, stockpile and send wound care supplies to Haiti, Xeroform Adaptics, the usual things folks would look at after surgery, Coban, alcohol, topical antibiotics, the things that are necessary to try and help these folks prevent the complications we're talking about, as well as the compresso grip rolls and shrinkers of all shapes and sizes, so that hopefully we can start getting their limbs ready for fitting, because there is the healing process. These supplies have been distributed to centers that are capable of providing wound care and post-operative management, but there are still going to be, of course, more that's necessary. Also, because the response and the surgical procedures necessary for amputation were not ideal based on the fact that they didn't have all of the things that surgeons generally need, a lot of the amputations were done, we'll say, suboptimally, and will likely require revisions in order to have folks be fittable. And that is something that will be coming up in the intermediate response. So what all of the groups have been looking to try and do is come up with some homogeneous P&O services. The government of Haiti has requested, and I don't know if they're able to enforce, but has gone as far as to mandate that someone who gets a prosthesis somewhere in Haiti should not be tied to that facility and that technology, so that if they have a prosthesis made in Port-au-Prince and they want to go to Jacmel or to Le Cai, they should be able to have that prosthesis worked on by any technician that's there, which implies that they're trying to get a system or maybe two systems standardized for the country. As an additional response to the intermediate needs is trying to get P&O providers, U.S. providers that want to go over there, trained and aware of what the techniques that are going to be used there, because using U.S. technology and U.S. techniques in Haiti is not something that's sustainable and may ultimately create more problems than it does solutions. As a result, a number of groups have started looking to purchase stockpiles of either ICRC polypropylene technology or other comparable polypropylene technology socket kits that can be used at the different facilities that are being established in Haiti. And then, of course, staff facilities with U.S. practitioners, U.S. North American practitioners, for the remainder of 2010. So the idea is that the clinics will be online, identify individuals that are willing to go, make sure that they have certain training and certain capacities when they go, and we'll talk about those in just a little bit. Two of the institutes that are doing training in the United States now, St. Petersburg College and Dominguez Hills in California, have offered to provide ICRC training. We've had discussions with the ICRC to see about getting supplies and the training put in place for those institutions, looking at probably a weekend course where you can get exposed to what actually is being done, so that when you get to Haiti, you as a practitioner will at least know the technology that's being used. It doesn't usurp your ability to make a good fitting socket. It's just the materials that are going to be used are going to be made on your good socket, but your good socket shape using these materials. In addition, the Academy Online Learning Center is putting together a series of modules that I don't know that we could actually require it, but I think if you're going over to a foreign country where things are so very drastically different from where you are, it's a good idea to get all the information you can. So we're putting together some presentations looking at situational awareness. There are some hazards at going to a country that is Haiti, and frankly the situation is certainly unknown, because when people go hungry and don't have shelter and the rainy season is coming, people get desperate and then things can happen. So you need to be aware of what you're getting yourself into when you go to Haiti to provide these services. Also the cultural sensitivity, what it is about Haiti that you become aware and sensitive to things that are not quite as they are in the United States. Cascade Supply has agreed to serve as a purchasing agent for ICRC kits in the United States. They've already made their arrangements. They have started to stock their warehouse with ICRC components. Our understanding is this is actually going to be made available internationally. So if there are other groups that wish to take this componentry to other activities outside of Haiti, you're welcome to do it there. But this at least allows us an accessible supply of this type of componentry in the U.S. so that we can get a hold of it. Of course, there's also going to be large shipments of supplies that are going directly to Haiti. I understand there's already some at the Healing Hands facility, and this is a good way to have the facility stocked. There's lots of projects, and I absolutely am involved with one of them, where we carry what we need in a pair of suitcases over to wherever we're going, and that's the materials we need, which is great. The scope of the need is farther than that particular approach is useful. The long-term goal is always, in any international activity, is sustainability. How can you set up a system so that in time it no longer is dependent upon constant attention of either practitioner or resources or materials, so that they can actually sustain themselves. This is the HIPPO initiative, Hispaniola Prosthetic and Orthotic Program, was actually conceived around 2007 as a way to try and elevate not only Haiti's educational system, but also the Dominican Republic. Look at the island as a whole and how the resources from both sides of the island can be used to get folks trained. This was going on again before the earthquake, so this was already in place, and something that was developed through Healing Hands for Haiti as well as the Physicians for Peace organization. And this is going to commence through the summer. I think it's just going to commence a whole lot faster with Al's presence there. It's a collaboration looking at training individuals through the University of Don Bosco, as well as USAID, ISPO, and so forth. The long-term sustainability will look at how we can raise funds to try and support these individuals so they have jobs and they have staff and training that they need. The other thing we've looked at is, and we'll be implementing as soon as we can, is sort of a limb sponsorship opportunity. So there's a great need on a large scale for huge donations, but if you and your local church group or civic group can get together and say you want to sponsor a limb for an individual or 3 limbs, you can just sponsor at $125 or $150 a prosthesis for somebody, and this kit can be made available. And that's a way to raise funds and awareness for folks in those areas as well. This is by no means a comprehensive list. There are a lot of agencies, over 24 at last count, and maybe even more than that have expressed interests in Haiti to provide prosthetic and orthotic services. There's going to be a large number of organizations that set up clinics, and there's also going to be a significant number that in 3 or 5 years are not going to be there. Some of them are coming in to address this immediate large need of amputees and may come in with the intention and expectation of sustainability, but in reality, as in all of the other cases, when there's a major disaster, at some point they will start either collaborating and starting to work together, because there just may not be a need for that large of a capacity of services in the long term. So the coordination of effort is kind of what we're here to talk about today. We have established, I believe, a common voice through the Academy, AOPA, USISPO, and then also with the ONP listserv. There are right now multiple volunteer registration forms. So any of the organizations that we've talked about, Healing Hands for Haiti, PFP, the Ivan Sable Foundation, Medishare, and AOPA, all have places where you can go, and some of you I'm sure already have gone to register to be a volunteer. What all of these organizations now we're working to do is put together one portal where all of the organizations are at least linked to, so you can come in and select who you might like to go through and then go down that channel, so that there will then be really one place to start looking at services, and then how you can apply your resources and your efforts is entirely up to you, and that's great. One thing to be aware of is that the Haitian government is now requiring that any organization that wants to provide non-governmental assistance in Haiti register with the Haitian Ministry of Health, so that they know who is in country and what it is that they're doing. So what can you guys do to help? Starting now is get familiar with the ICRC polypropylene or comparable polypropylene technical procedures. There are online courses available. They're going to be a little bit more easily accessible in the very near future through the Online Learning Center. This is publicly available information, so you can actually see either manuals and or videos of how the technology is being worked. That's a good way to start. Contact the organization of choice that you like to work with and find out what it is that they need. Something that has been recognized within about 2-3 weeks of the crisis is that there was so much stuff that organizations thought Haiti needed, and they had the means to ship it over, that the arteries to get shipping into Haiti have gotten clogged. And that's a push mentality, where we're trying to push the things that we think they need into Haiti, and they're really now requesting a pull mentality, which means find an organization that's there, find out what they need, because they are trying to pull that into the country rather than sending them what we think they need. If you're really serious about going to Haiti, then start getting your immunizations. You go to CDC, the Center for Disease Control, put in Haiti, and they'll tell you all the immunizations and shots you're going to have to get. And this is a serious situation. There are diseases in Haiti that are not ones that we're going to find here, and if you're going to go there, you need to make sure you're properly vaccinated. And I've already talked about taking cultural sensitivity, situation awareness modules. What else can you do to help? Of course, money is always helpful. There has been a good deal of financial response to this crisis in lots of ways that it can be applied. Healing Hands for Haiti, the Advantage Program, Ivan Sable Foundation, I think I unintentionally, there's a couple of others, the Physicians for Peace. Lots of organizations have ways that you can make donations to. We are talking to and working into the process of now establishing a centralized fund for donations to Haiti that then can be distributed on a grant basis, so that if you don't know where you want to go or don't go through the process of identifying one organization, this would again be sort of a centralized portal so that funding can be distributed that way. If you have an organization that wants to raise money, as lots of folks do, which is wonderful, make sure that you can set your goals, but also find out what the organizations need. Of course, money is something that they need, but if you're going to have a limb drive, if you're going to have durable medical equipment drive, whatever it is that you might be doing, make sure that there's a need to get it there and how it's going to get there. So, for example, you wish to purchase a certain number of kits or plaster or the other things that might be needed there. That's really all that we have as far as the presentation goes. We'd like to open the floor to discussion and any points that someone might like to have. Before we go there, however, we're going to turn the floor over to Al, because he, as far as U.S. practitioners, have some of the most experience there and has a few things to say. Here's Al. Can you come up and stand? Sure.
Thanks, Rob, and thanks everybody for coming tonight. I know it's late and we all want to move on to the ROMP Global Fundraiser that's happening at Sweetwater's Tavern starting at 8 o'clock. So if you want to go support Haiti a little further and have some libations, Dave and Eric are right over here and they can give you directions. And Dave can talk about the great things he's doing in Ecuador and Guatemala and through Central and South America, and Eric can talk about ROMP and how they're helping all over this hemisphere. I just want to speak a little bit about the role that I've been asked to take with coordination of the Haiti effort. Literally just 1 week ago, I took a call from USAID, and they asked if I would consider moving to Haiti for 12 months, or at least 12 months, and trying to wrap my arms around the octopus or somehow try to herd the cats in a certain direction, which I totally know that I have no capabilities of herding all the cats. So we've been in discussion for the past week on how we can write a job description that puts me in somewhat of a neutral coordination role where I can help as many people, obviously for the benefit of the Haitian people, coordinating through all of the international groups that are working in Haiti and helping the Haitian government develop a national plan for rehabilitation. I've been fortunate to work in both countries for a number of years now and have really seen the need for a coordinated effort, and we've been working towards that on a real small scale with Healing Hands for Haiti, but obviously now we need to ramp that up a lot bigger. So my two job descriptions are going to be P&O coordination, and I'll be taking as much advice and support from the international community. Obviously, the U.S. and Canadian colleagues will have a lot of input, but the opportunity to help establish more of a rehab network within Haiti that has never been there is one that I'm very excited about also. And so if people want to help me with that, I will certainly look for support. Rehab medicine has only been done in Haiti for about 10 years now, mainly through Healing Hands for Haiti. And so it's kind of inventing a whole new culture within the medical community. And we feel like we've made some inroads within the Haitian medical community, and now we just need to ramp that up to the next level. So hopefully by March 15th, possibly March 22nd, I will be moving to Haiti. My wife will join me shortly thereafter, and we'll be there for at least 12 months and possibly more. I I also would just like to speak a little bit about the international community response, because we in the U.S. don't really understand or don't see what goes into a disaster when something like this happens. And typically there's not as many injured as there has been with this disaster. So, the tsunami or some of the earthquakes that have happened in other parts of the world, there's been a couple hundred amputees, maybe 100 to 200, maybe 300 spinal cord injured. But there's been various estimates of the number of amputees within the Haiti disaster. I personally think there's somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000. I'm hearing estimates, up into the hundreds of thousands. I think there's been a lot of movement of the injured and the people that were working with the injured. So some of those numbers are somewhat skewed. And they were also counting fingers and toes as amputations. So if the numbers somehow stabilize in the 2,000 to 5,000 range, obviously that's still a huge number of injured that are somewhat all going to be ready for prosthetics within the same few months. We haven't even really talked about the orthotic needs, because there's literally tens of thousands of people with fractures of major bones. And obviously that's going to take a little longer to heal. We might be able to take care of some of that with prefabricated devices, but there's going to be a huge, huge need for orthotists, and that's something that we're going to ramp up real shortly. But the amputees are front and center in the news media, and I am very concerned that we are not going to look good if we cannot take care of this situation. So that's why we're asking for everybody's help trying to coordinate it. The question that I'm getting 10 times per day is, what can we do to help with componentry, with education, with just getting in there and trying to help start fitting. And Rob has talked about all the different coordination opportunities that people have. And there's been quite a bit of talk about the ICRC system with the polypropylene. There's been some limb drives, Heather Mills on Larry King saying, send your used prosthetics. And I stood a little bit on my soapbox and said I will blow a cork if someone tries to fit a Haitian into a Caucasian socket, because we have the capability of doing very good prosthetics that are appropriate for the Haitian people. And I know what's going to happen, and we'll just deal with it then. But the amount of prosthetic componentry needed is going to require that we use more than just the ICRC technology. I don't think they have enough in their warehouse to accommodate this. So we are certainly looking at the U.S. and European options. We're hearing about so many amputations that are not healing, that are adherent, that have horrible gaping wounds. So we're certainly looking at gel liner technology and how we can use that technology and in an environment that is not very hospitable to taking care of those kinds of prosthetic needs. I'm talking to and certainly meeting with people that we're going to be bringing in that technology in the near term. There's certainly other techniques that are being discussed. I've had some discussions with the Jaipur foot people, Dr. Wu, and the CIR sandcast technique. There's the Handicap International technique, where they use the fiberglass casting tape to make temporary sockets. So we are going to see many different types of prostheses in the short term, and it's going to have to somehow funnel into a consistent result long term, so that the Haitian technicians who are going to take this over can keep this going. The education component is something that I'm fairly passionate about, and I have heard rumblings of people wanting to bring Haitian technicians to the U.S. for training. And I would really, really, really like to try to discourage that, because we personally have done that, and the Haitians do not go back to Haiti. And it's not just Haiti, and this happens all over the world. When you bring technicians to your facility, they might go back for a little time, but they're going to figure out how to get back to the U.S. or Canada or whatever industrialized country helped train them. So we have a program in place with the University of Don Bosco in El Salvador that is ISPO accredited and has the capabilities of bringing education that is appropriate for this situation. Many of you probably know Heinz Treben. He was the director at UDB for 15 years. He recently moved back to Germany. Heinz was just hired by Handicap International and will be in Haiti for probably the next 6 weeks to help get the education program started, and I certainly will be working closely with him. I know Heinz quite well and really value his input. So I'm confident that the education component can be taken care of, and if we can all just look at the UDB curriculum, it's certainly not at the U.S. or Canada level. It's at what ISPO titles the Category 2, and we certainly are going to need the Category 3 level, which is what is often termed the bench worker in Haiti, and we will be trying to bring those people up to speed as quickly as we can. I just want to finish with speaking about the international P&O effort. Handicap International has been phenomenal from the get-go. They have incredible resources. They've got 3,000 employees, and many of them are dedicated to emergency response and then development after the disaster has settled down a little bit. I was very fortunate to spend just over 2 weeks with them. I've had a lot of contact with the International Red Cross for the past 6 years or so. They are stepping back a little bit. They have donated to Healing Hands for about 5 years. They're kind of waiting to see how they can help. There's been a little push-pull with Handicap International and the ICRC because HI is getting so much press, and the ICRC is feeling a little bit of that pressure. But they are going to be in Haiti next week, and they're going to try to figure out how they can respond. So if you want more of an international experience, there's many groups that are setting up. Johanneder from Germany, I've been hearing of the Bangladesh government, the Israelis, the Italians. I'm forgetting quite a few other countries that are all talking about bringing in P&O. This Johanneder group already has a functional lab down in the most hard-hit part of Port-au-Prince. They bought a trailer-based lab from Autobach about 2 days after the earthquake. They bought it here in the U.S. and got it into Haiti last week, and their technicians are there, and they're already starting to fabricate limbs. So there's an opportunity to see what the other parts of the world do for P&O, and I think it'd be very valuable for us to kind of rotate through and really kind of broaden your horizons as you are in Haiti. Lastly, I'd just like to talk real briefly about the situation in Haiti. Right now, everything has been very stable, very safe. I mean, Haiti is in a state of shock still. There has been concerns in the past with security. I personally have never had any concerns, and we always work within a team setting. So, kind of the safety in numbers concept. And we at Healing Hands always try to keep everybody organized that way. I would suggest trying to work through that kind of network, because if you're just trying to navigate the system by yourself, you're probably going to get in trouble. Haitians can be very good at manipulating, and they can certainly take advantage of you if you're not prepared for dealing with people of other cultures. And then lastly, I just want to try to emphasize that if you can go, please do. It's a phenomenal country. There's some incredible beauty and some very, very strong people, and they will really welcome you with open arms. Thanks.